Thank you, Amber. Yes, I am. Can you hear me now? Marvelous. Sorry about that. Hopefully everyone is having a great Tuesday. You're staying dry. You're staying, you had a great lunch, and hopefully we're ready to roll. Thank you for joining me today. And we'll go ahead and get started. I have done the recording for today. So I'm still listening. Well, welcome, Donna O from Mansfield. Welcome to the group. All right. So today, I wanted to start with our goal and our mission statement for the Special Populations Division at TEA. And we equip school systems to increase awareness, promote equitable access, and improve outcomes for all special populations. And our division is broken up into three sections. This is our English learner support, our highly mobile and at risk, and then gifted and talented. Our English learner support does enhance and work with our dual language and our ESL and our English learner programs. And then our highly mobile and at risk works with human trafficking. And if some of you have not realized yet, but that is another subsection of my job duties now is human trafficking, child abuse and neglect, and including human trafficking prevention. And then also pregnancy-related, highly mobile, military connected, homelessness, foster care. So I have been kind of branching out this year, working with others when divisions start losing people in need assistance. And then, but my main priority and forever will be gifted and talented education. So glad to be here today, and our agenda items today. So pretty much going over our typical gifted and talented information. I did not change my agenda. I am so sorry, everyone, but the agenda is wrong. So still our GT information, and then, but today we're talking about professional learning, and I do apologize for not fixing that. And then time for any questions and answers as we go into it. And then as we go in, let's just kind of highlighting the numbers. As you know, our staff numbers have just a small increase of 540, which is, that's still trickling down. And then, but our student numbers are still up there, and with 4,000 students now having contacted with COVID. So really just as we go into our wellness check and to stay, just stay aware, stay comfortable, stay vigilant, as we have really gone back to pretty much the whole community is open. And as we go into these processes, and I just, take care of yourselves. Hopefully everyone is doing well, getting ready for this summer season, getting ready to shut down the school year. I know this is our last one for May, and know some of you may be finishing up and may not attend with our 2 meetings in June. So just if you're getting ready, if this is your last one before the summer season starts, well, thank you for joining us. But if you got summer school going on, or if you got some other projects working on, just let us know. How we doing out there, everyone? Everyone doing well, hopefully? All right, yes. Marvelous. Hopefully, if you believe in the vaccination, get it. I'm vaccinated. People around me are vaccinated. Okay. So or we're still in our remote learning processes. So as we look at it, pretty much this is surviving AP exams. Oh, yes, that's another interesting one. Hope it hasn't made international news like it did last time. I'll put it that way. So let's do some good thing. Fully vaxxed and mask free. All right. All right. Okay. So our guidance is still there. We'll probably be updating and changing some things as we go into the upcoming school year. So if you just let me know what questions you may have going into 21-22 as we get ready for our next season, our next planning. Really just take a moment and say, this is what I want to know about, or I need help with. Here are our final, here is the links. If you need to register for the next two sessions, it is still open that you can do that. Our guidance documents are still available, excuse me, for you to review and just kind of use as you may need. Getting ready to put out the newsletter. And if you are not signed up as of yet for our newsletter, please grab the link. It will be also available on the TA website. If you go look under the search bar, you will see sign up for updates. And that's where you can do it. One, I will also suggest that you also sign up to the administrator, where you'll get all of the communications that go out to leadership. And then the following, I would recommend for those who are also in charge of advanced academics, they put out a pretty regular schedule of cadence of newsletters also that may be helpful for you. So take that in. So as we know, our state definition, and so what we're looking for in those students, and always remembering that we're looking at those students who are performing at a remarkable high level of accomplishment, and when compared to others of the same age, experience, or environment. And it also goes to the point of really looking at what does that mean for your district? What does that mean for your campuses? And really looking at how does that fit into your programs and how do you serve students? And then how is that exemplified in those classrooms? So how are we looking at kids who are excelling in those specific academic fields and using that capacity for leadership? And then our goal for our students is really to think about how can they demonstrate their skills in self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication, as evidenced by the development of innovative products and performances, and really looking at what does it mean in your area for an innovative product or those performances that really reflects their own individuality as they move forward, and really looking at what are our high school students performances in those products that they're putting out. And so really looking at what is your scope and sequence of what does it look like from kinder to 12 for your GT program, and what students are producing or performing as they go forward. And really looking, especially for our smaller school district, what does that mean when we look at those numbers across our programs across the board in those regular content classrooms? And that goes into making sure that our professional staff know what our goals are, what our purposes are, what are we looking for. And so that's why we're going to wrap this one up with professional learning and looking at, you as the planners, the creators, sometimes the deliverers also, but definitely the administration of our services to our students to make sure that the people who are doing this have the skills to do it, that they know how to develop and provide those differentiated programs and services. So really looking at how are you getting that training? What training are you saying is okay? What training is not okay? And then really being vigilant of what is going on in your district. Every district is different. Every district has really unique needs. And so really thinking about that. So just going back to our administrative code and really looking at what our professional development, what the state and the rules are on that. So really looking at, so prior to assignment, so really thinking about, really talking to your administrators and to your hiring staff on making sure that people know when they're coming in that they need their 30 hours. And then as we look at this and as we really go into how we work our systems, really knowing, especially, after coming out of these 2 years, really looking at how do we do that? How do we make sure that our teachers are getting their training and really looking at how effectively do we get that across in the high demand of everything else that they're doing. And then those teachers without training who provide instruction and services that are part of your programs must complete it within one semester. and really thinking about what does that one semester look like? What do those requirements fall into? And how do we make sure that that's being documented? And then the 6-hour update, and then our administrators and counselors who have their training also. And then some of you will have to also look at your own policies when we talk about administrators and counselors to see if it's a yearly training or is it a one-time stop and that's it. So really look at what's in your policy to know so that you may be in compliance with your rules as a district. So that goes into really looking at, and I know we've been talking about a lot of this and really looking at our programs and looking how we expand, how we make sure that we have the documentation in place. So really looking at that written plan for your professional learning. And as I said earlier, and I probably said it a couple of times, when you really look at this written plan, it's really just you knowing who's having the opportunities for training. Or what are those opportunities? It could be as literal as these are the training options, and it's really you're going to use your ESC. We use tagging on demand. We use consultants. We provide our own training. So it's really just you as a district knowing what are your options. How do you do that? Also looking at what do we want to roll out. If you're going with a strategic plan of this is how you're building your program, it may be also looking at what trainings do you want across the board over the years to say, this is how we're going to, if we're building in TPSP, what are you adding in each year? Are we adding a rubric training? Are we adding in, really looking at that development, adding in more depth and complexity, really thinking about what are you doing each year to make sure that those updates meet the needs to help build out your program. And then so that goes back into your evaluating your professional learning activities. So really thinking about what is these opportunities? Are you getting the best bang for your buck? One, or are those teachers really turning around that implementation of the strategies that have been presented to them in these courses? Is it we really need to relook at one, how we're documenting, or making sure that as many people are coming in. So really thinking about your staff development and making those decisions. And so going into that, let's talk about expiration of 30 hours, because that's one of the ones I also get questions on. And so really got to think about, and this is all of your decision points. Really, if you got a teacher who is either starting over because, or, with their 30 hours because they started, they didn't stop, didn't finish, or whatever, what do you want? How do you want to handle that? Do they just need to complete, or is it a start over? What is the time period? So really, or they have no documentation, and that's the other piece. Because you have a lot of people, and I'll use myself as an example, but I know where my training documents are. My first training documents are from the 1990s, the early 1990s. So I first got my initial 30 in probably 1993. Yeah, probably 1993, coming in and going from there. So I got my training hours there. Is that certificate sufficient for you now as a district with my 1993 self, or would you want something more recent, such as maybe 2012 or 2020? So you got to think about, for your teachers and your teaching staff, what is the most appropriate? And then, so it goes into that time period. And so really looking at, and as you start doing your own audits, and I know a lot of you have, as you come across, either they did not complete their whole 30, or they have no documentation, or they got all of these 6-hour updates that could add into an initial 30. So really thinking about how do you want that, that looked at, and then going into your counselors and your administrators, really looking at what do they need. Because some, I'm just going to put it out there, I just know, some will take on the mindset of if they took their initial 30 and they become administrator, some of you let that slide and you don't need an administrative trainer. Some of you, yes, you do make them have administrative training, or the previous staff did not make them do it. And now they're here, they're administrator, you're looking for an administrative certificate. What is your goal? what is your mindset? So really thinking about, are you grandfathering people in, or you're going to say, I need you to go and get this training? So really think about that as we go into this. So then we look at our professional learning calendar. So really define, are you working with the district on what their calendar is, knowing that everyone typically has to get their trainings most times finished by October, and really going into looking at how that is finished and done by October, where some is like, it's a little bit, it's not as defined as that, or you're looking at a wider window, or you got to January, so it's like January to December is your window, where some it's really really looking at April, May, really starting in June to October, as I was stating earlier, really looking at what your PD is, especially when you're looking at those updates and when people are taking those updates to apply for the upcoming school year or that current school year. Because is it really beneficial to take an update in May, or is it better to like this does is it going to go for qualifying for next year or what? So let me see what I'm looking at the chat. Good, Monica. Yeah, it makes sense to do that. So, but it's like we already know. We sometimes we gather and we get things that are just makes you wonder why they do certain things, and we just got to clean up house. So yes. So as we keep so yeah, just remember, I know a lot of you had to clean houses, and this is the prime opportunity, everyone, as we're getting ready as we rolled out the new state plan and the revisions, and as we go into really thinking about how we're going to be in compliance totally, is really saying, yes, we know this has been a practice here, but we're going full implementation and fidelity of the law and the rule and the state plan. So just please be kind and just follow the rules. And so I think a lot of people will understand it better that way, and then just saying, well, it was wrong in the past, but we can always couch it in a good way. Or you can always say, contact Monica, and so we can do that. Make sure and so really thinking about when do you want those teachers to have that 6-hour update, really getting that. And then if you're doing your administrators, their updates, what are you asking them after that initial first time? What are they talking about? What are they doing? And I understand there's times where you really want people to take another training, but sometimes repeating the same one is not beneficial. So really thinking about how many times can someone take nature as a need or identification and assessment, really thinking of what is more beneficial. Maybe, let's get into the depth and complexity. There's a plethora of opportunities out there. So really think about what are those learning opportunities that you want those educators to have. So let's talk about documentation and really thinking about who is the keeper of the certificates, and really reminding your staff who is keeping that certificate and who's maintaining that documentation. So I'm seeing Janet's getting those new people their 30 hours in one semester. Sometimes that is a little bit on your side where you can dictate somehow that works and how that documentation is going. So you can give a little leeway of, it's going beyond a semester to get it done, especially, those new hires that are really taking a plethora of trainings. But you really don't want them to drag it out more beyond that, at least that year to get it. And I know a lot of you have those week trainings that people can get into and to get into that. And so it's really trying to think of how, especially if you got someone hired in December, they got all the way from January to May, probably June to get their training together. So really thinking about how to add pieces in and then how to support that. And then what is your acceptable documentation, especially for those courses that are not specifically around the 30 hours that we typically normally say these are our trainings, or that have been set forth. When you're looking at those outside vendors or those outside programs like your museums, the Texas Wildlife and Parks, where they have trainings that are trying to work into our programs, really are, the computer programming or English language arts. They have courses they say they're a part of, but really, what are you accepting? Are you just saying it's a certificate that has GT written on it? Or are you really looking at, can I get a copy of the agenda? Can I get a copy of the PowerPoint to make sure that they were talking about those pieces that really impact GT, that have that GT content? And then is a significant amount of content to say it's a 6-hour training or more. So really looking at what is that? And then what is your record of documentation? So really got to remember there's a difference between our student records and our teacher records, and really how long you're documenting those pieces. But one is always let your teachers know is that they are the main source for that certificate. Things may happen, they may move, and then you got those roaming teachers. You can use those as, at different points. But so they need to be also keeping that certificate as they go forth and going through their process. I saw someone had a question. So yes, you still can use PD transcripts within instead of your certificates, because that's one of your internal processing of knowing that you have that documentation. But so you have to realize, think about those teachers need either a certificate or something if they move, because when they move, your systems typically drop out their information. So if they move, they need to keep that certificate. If they take a certificate training somewhere else, it needs to come in. So sometimes it just depends on where that training is happening. Either if it's all internal, you got a certificate, you got your training history. If it's not internal, you got to really think about what are your options and how do you keep that. And, as we go into these, future world, it's easy just to scan and put it into your own records. So just a reminder of our 30 hours of training and the professional development that is available out there. And I'm just going to apologize because I have unstable technology today, with the rain, but hopefully we can keep going. And so knowing that we are looking at nature needs, identification and assessment, and then we're looking at models of a differentiated instruction, creativity and critical thinking for gifted and talented students, and then engaging gifted students by adding depth and complexity. So that is our core 30 hours currently at this moment. It did change a little bit a few years ago. This is what we're working with right now. As you know, we did separate the administrator and counselor training, and we'll talk about those in a few minutes. And then some of our 6-hour update trainings that are available that's been out there for a moment is, first one is raising expectations, increasing rigor. Then we have our twice exceptional students and our gifted and talented services. And then creativity and innovation, encouraging creativity. And then implementing the Texas Performance Standards Project. And then we do have school board training that is available. And so, as you know, with your school boards are trained to ensure program accountability. You have to remind them and just remember that they are the ones that are accountable for your have handouts that goes with them. And so, are you talking about the school board training? The school board training is a little bit more, it does have a training material with it for them. And then always a resource is going to be the state plan so that people can actually learn about that and get into that. I think there's been good chat here on what you're doing. Not sure if I see any specific questions that I have not answered. All right. All right, so if there are no other questions and no one wants to jump off mute and ask a question or put it in the chat, I'm going to give you opportunities. Anyone want to talk about what they're doing for professional development, how their plan is laid out, or kind of share with how they do it in their district, large or small, it will help someone else. Then I'm gonna put it out there to my ESCs. Anything y'all want to share, or I know I have some representatives out there share on what you're offering this summer that might be a little bit new and unique and different.
Well, I'll definitely take a moment to, it's kind of new and different as far as it's different content-wise. We have Tanny McGregor of Comprehension Connections fame. She is coming to do some sketchnoting on June 30th, and it's virtual, so that means anybody could come. And it's sketchnoting in flip-flops. So I'm really trying to just get people to relax, have a good time, but at the same time, get some things that they can take back to the classroom. And I'm excited about the response for secondary, because a lot of times secondary, it's really hard to meet their niche. And so I've got some high school teachers that are kind of excited about it. So just thought I would put that out there since you asked, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I might put this more in the chat if that's okay.
That is okay. Okay, I saw Rain come off mute, even though she's saying she's Michelle Swain, but I know it's Rain. Okay. We can't hear you, Rain. I heard you laugh, but I can't hear you.
Let's try it now. How about that?
There we go.
Okay. We're trying something a little bit different. We purchased a district license for Tempo Plus, and since all of our PD this summer is virtual in our district, we're using videos, webinars, articles out of Tempo Plus to create like short 1 and 2 hour pieces in an asynchronous format called Rise. So people can kind of pick and choose their own adventure sort of, and pick and choose 6-hour update that works for them based on all pieces that came out of Tempo Plus. And then we're using things besides Tempo Plus too, but that's kind of our main source.
Tailored to fit. All right, sounds good. Smorgasbord. Anyone else? They're dropping it in the chat. Okay, thank you. So we got some book studies going on emotional intensity. All right, and give the students. Sounds good. I know that's been a question for a lot of people. What are some of the book studies that people have used? So if you have done a book study or considering a book for book study, do drop that in the chat for people. That will be a help also. Yeah, equity training is always a good piece. Also really thinking about how to put that in. All right. Thank you, perfectionism. Yeah, mindset. Yeah. Yes, when gifted kids don't always have the answers. Yes, genius hour. Okay. Ooh, suicide among gifted students. That should be deep. Yeah. Last Child in the Woods. Out of my mind. Oh, I haven't seen that one by Sharon Draper. I do love me a young adult a novel every now and then. Right. Okay, so thank you for dropping those. Genius denied. Yes. Right. So just wanted to remind you, if you want to, just a friendly reminder about Carnegie Learning and the THL Math 12 math product, the 612 math product, if I can get my language correct today, the Texas Math Solution. If you want a reminder on how to explore those materials, if you want to get involved in that conversation, here's the link to find and to delve a little bit more deeper into that material. As we go into it, the PowerPoint is posted and waiting for the video to be edited to post. And then hopefully that will be done soon. But take a chance, take an opportunity if you would like to learn more or get involved in that, or if you know your math department would like to get involved in that, please do reach out to me so that we can get you connected and we can get some real great math strategies out there for our students. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in my review of our vendors and the work and the materials that they put out. Some do a better job of really thinking about our gifted kids and, as they call it, extensions or the other work that they're putting out there or the differentiated instruction pieces. Some do a better job than others. Some need some severe help. And so really hoping that we can get all of these products up to a different level and then really think about how we can get support for our students in the classroom and really looking at how we do that. Just wanted to also remind you of some resources that we have out there for those who are still, needing some program implementation. We have our Texas GT program implementation resource. Really have sample documents out there, other tools that you may want to use to pull and to get into that. And then the next one, everyone, our Texas Performance Standards Project. The next is our Equity and GT Education document, our website, which is being redesigned, and hopefully in the next two sessions, I might be able to reveal the new GT equity website for you. And then we got our two toolkits. Toolkit 1 is more on research, and Toolkit 2 will help your AP or your advanced courses teachers to really think about how to add in that depth and the complexity and those other strategies into their core curriculum. Right. And so that ends it for today, or if there's no other questions, this is how you can reach me. My contact information and my phone, 512-475-0626. If not, I hope that everyone have a great great week, a great Memorial Day. That's our next holiday. And then Janet, they're looking for you to share. I'll see what you're sharing. And then for those, this actually I was good today. So the website does have the current today's PowerPoint. It does not have the video yet, but it will hopefully be up in a couple of days. All right. You're welcome. And then one of the sessions, and if you want to volunteer, because I'm really thinking for in June, our next two, that really is I want to highlight what you're doing. So if you want to take a moment to say, I want to share what we did this year, send me a note and I will make sure, I like to do district share outs. So I will make sure you have time and so that you can be prepared. So, because I know some people just don't want to come off the cuff. All right. So I want to say thank you. Have a great day and a great weekend.